It came faster than anybody was ever expecting, higher than anybody had ever seen. Nobody had ever seen a flood like this. It is of tremendous significance, not just in the loss of homes, but in the damage to people's, their lives, literally became litter. I, in this position here as director of the Appalachian Center and being at Berea College, I know how much this place has given, how much it is connected to, and my question is, how can I honor that?
People are still recovering. A lot of people still are trying to find housing or trying to find clothes where all their clothes were taken and furniture. People are still recovering.
And then again, why wouldn't people leave? Because people love it and that's where their families are. And in many ways, good health is. When you're with the mountain air, that's a wonderful thing. You're with the streams, that's wonderful. What's hard is that the doctors aren't there. What's hard is that the insurance isn't there. What's hard is that at the same time, there's a strong cigarette habit, right? And a lot of carcinogens being released from toxins coming out of coal slurries. So it's a real paradox. But people love the region with all of their beings and hearts that I know. So even though people might not have much, it does not mean that they don't have rich lives and live well together too. But they don't necessarily have the money to, hike up a house up the hillside and to make it with the infrastructure that needs to survive floods like this too. An immense amount of concentrated rain on the terrain of 10 counties, 5 in specific, that were really set up for a massive flood. Been tremendous damage to the tree systems, which are key for holding in water. It had been very dry. And as a result, the sluices, those just became gathering places for waters. And those waters then backed up into hollers and the water continued to go. If they had resources, that would have been wonderful. But people don't have those kinds of resources. They would build up higher, but people don't have that money for that higher ground too, and the ways of getting it. So I don't think that there was much to have done to prepare for it. Now, could we have had stronger bridges that might have helped? Could have. Could we have better roads? Oh, most certainly.
I think that the process for receiving help from American Red Cross and FEMA is kind of difficult. So for example, with my aunt who lost everything in her house, FEMA didn't really help them that much. They put them in a hotel room for a couple of days, but they deemed their house still livable, which was interesting because it wasn't. And they didn't get full funding from FEMA because their house wasn't condemned, even though they had to tear out all their floorboards and their walls and everything inside of it.
These are small counties. But why aren't supplies getting out to certain places and how? Lots of people don't have cars. Lots of people don't have ways out. Then we come to the thoughts about rebuilding. And FEMA monies don't come in fast, right? And they don't come in as enough. You get a little bit to make a small repair to what needs much more. Communities themselves, paradoxically though, people have been rising up. citizens have been coming together to advocate for their local people that they know and love. And families have stood up together and said, we are going to get the resources that people need. And as they worked with Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky out of Hazard to get small grants for people. They were working to distribute things to their local people and to get things to people who could not necessarily, old people who could not necessarily get out of the hollers. And this is happening not just in Letcher County, not just in this one place, but it's happening throughout the region too. People have to have help to get to that money and those resources. They have to have help to deploy them. People need to build things with it as well. So the work of recovering from something like this, particularly of this scale and this concentration, we're looking at a minimum of 5 years.
I think that it's going to take people longer to recover emotionally than materially. I think it'll happen again. It happens every year. There's floods every year in my town. People's houses are flooded every year, but I don't think they're going to receive as much help the next time, just because it probably won't be as on a big scale.
People are going to have to there's a lot of heart healing, there's a lot of loss, there's a lot of grief, and that's ongoing. How do people work with that? It's just not through therapy. It's through long-term, I think, community, and community finding a way to reestablish itself again, even as some of the core community places have been destroyed and wiped out. So how do people find each other? And how do people find ways to give their hearts and their stories to each other and to hold those? That's the work of churches. That's the work of schools. And it's the work of, while it's work of rebuilding the infrastructure, because that's important, it's the work of figuring out how to help humans come back to themselves. And it won't be the same again, right? I think that there are opportunities as well. There's going to be, there's a lot of educational grants coming in to these areas. We're very fortunate to have Partners for Rural Impact, which used to be Partners for Education, part of Berea, but has recently split off. And there are millions of dollars going in for educational grants. And at the same time, there's not necessarily all the teachers there, all the skill there that they need to run those grants well. And that's a chance for students from Berea, for instance, who graduate from here, who want to be able to go back to plant seeds again and to grow from what that flood has left. I think people are going to get to know each other better. I think people are going to continue to stand up for each other and find each other and learn to help each other. And it's going to be a path of all people together. People feeling frustrated at times, people feeling impatient at times with what is or is not happening with the aid, and figuring out how to help that aid happen for each other. But mostly, it's going to be about people being able to share their experience so they can do the work that needs to be done. And that's intimate work, and that's important work. We can do what we can do and what we're able to do, and admire the people who can do all that much more and cheer everybody on.